This travel is referred to in marine insurance as FLOW. Commercial inland marine insurance was first developed as an extension of ocean marine coverage to provide protection for cargo traveling over land instead of by sea. This travel is referred to in marine insurance as floating, usually the characteristic that makes property eligible for marine insurance. Coverage is an element of portability. This means that the covered property must be in transit or have some other relationship to transportation or communication. There are exceptions to this, but as a general rule, marine forms do not cover stationary property. Commercial inland marine forms cover property that is in transit, is held by a bailee at a stationary location that is an instrument of transportation or communication, or is a movable type of property that travels between different locations. On the list we just covered, the only property that is fixed or stationary and covered under an inland marine policy is instrumentalities of transportation or communication. To help identify which types of risks would be covered by an inland marine policy versus an ocean marine policy, the NAIC developed the nationwide definitions of coverage. If commercial inland marine or ocean marine policies are listed on your state exam outline, you can be sure you'll see at least one question on your exam covering the nationwide definition. This definition lists 6 categories of eligible risks under marine insurance. The first 2 of the 6 categories are imports and exports. These 2 risks would be covered by an ocean marine policy. Now, if you skip down to number 6 on the list, you'll see that personal property floater risks are obviously covered by a personal inland marine policy. The remaining 3 categories are covered by commercial inland marine policies. Memorizing the 6 categories and the way I just presented them makes it easier for you to remember the information so you can answer correctly on the state exam. As I just mentioned, imports and exports are covered by ocean marine policies. These will be discussed in the ocean marine chapter of this course. Personal property floater risks are covered in the personal inland marine chapter. In this chapter, we will discuss commercial inland marine insurance that provides coverage for domestic shipments, instrumentalities of transportation or communication, and commercial property floater risks. Commercial inland marine forms can be categorized as controlled or non-controlled, sometimes referred to as filed or unfiled. This is simply the inland marine terminology for differentiating between a standardized policy and one that an insurer has developed to meet the needs of its own insurers. A controlled line is written using a standardized form that is filed with the different states for uniform use. A non-controlled line is one that can be written by individual companies using their own form with varying policy language and coverage rules. Additionally, the premium rates charged will vary among insurance companies, instrumentalities of transportation and communication. Insurance forms cover properties such as bridges, pipelines, as well as television and cell towers. While these items may be stationary, a loss to this type of property can prevent the transportation of other types of property. For example, recently a cargo ship hit the Key Bridge in Baltimore, causing it to collapse. This catastrophe caused major delays in shipping for a lengthy period of time. Commercial property forms and floaters provide coverage for important commercial property and equipment used to conduct business. These floaters provide more detailed coverage options than the building and personal property form of a commercial property policy. Certain controlled or filed classes of inland marine insurance can be written as a part of a commercial package policy. However, because of the unique risks involved, commercial inland marine insurance is usually written as a standalone policy. However, when written as a part of a commercial package policy, the following forms are required: a common policy declarations page, a common policy conditions form, the commercial inland marine declarations page, the commercial inland marine general conditions forms, one or more of the controlled inland marine coverage forms. The following are the features of commercial inland marine policies that you will want to remember. This information is important for you to know in order to compare and contrast the coverages with other property policies for your state licensing exam. Remember that inland marine policies are most often written as open peril coverage. The coverage is not dependent on the property being located at a specific premises like other types of property insurance. The insurance covered moves or floats with the property. The duties of the insured after a loss under a commercial inland marine policy are similar to those required on any other property policy. The insured must notify law enforcement if a law has been broken with regard to the loss. Provide the insurer with a prompt loss notice and a description of the property involved. In the loss, provide the insurer with a description of how, when, and where the loss occurred as soon as possible. Take all reasonable steps to protect the property from further damage. Set damaged property aside, if feasible, and keep records of all expenses related to the loss. Keep accurate records and prepare an inventory of damaged property. Make no statement that assumes any obligation or admits any liability without consent of the insurer. Continuing with the duties of the insured under a commercial inland marine policy, the insured must permit the insurer to inspect the property and the records proving the loss. If requested, the insured must also submit to an examination under oath on matters relating to the claim, with all answers signed by the insured. Next, the insured within 60 days after receipt of the request from the insurer must send a signed sworn statement of loss containing the information requested, and the insured must promptly send the insurer any legal papers or notices received concerning the loss and cooperate with the investigation or settlement of the claim. Now let's review the conditions section of the Commercial Inland Marine form that you will need to remember for your state exam if the insured has other insurance written on the same basis as the Commercial Inland Marine policy. Both policies will pay their prorated share of the loss. If the other insurance is not written on the same basis, the Commercial Inland Marine policy will be considered excess over the other insurance. Let's now look at how a loss's value. Under a Commercial Inland Marine policy, losses are valued on an actual cash value basis, or the cost to restore or replace the property. Whichever amount is lower, the value of the property is determined at the time of the loss. The insurer must pay the claim within 30 days after reaching the settlement agreement with the insured or the date of a final judgment or appraisal award.